Okay, have you ever traveled somewhere and worried about the weather? Or had a very important event and wanted to make sure that the weather wouldn't affect your plans or your pocketbook? Well, Sensible Weather is the leading outdoor experience protection provider in the travel and hospitality space. And joining me now to tell me more about it, how it can impact you, is the CEO and founder, Nick Kavanagh. Nick, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
What is the purpose of this in trying to help people make better decisions, save money?
Yeah, so the point of Sensible ultimately is to protect people's experiences. As we all know, basically anybody that travels or has ever done anything outside understands that sometimes the weather doesn't go your way. And we're essentially trying to put money back in people's pockets when that happens so that they can either have a better experience or go again.
How would someone interact with your app in their planning?
So Sensible Weather Guarantees are purchased through our merchant partners when you book them online. So generally it looks like travel insurance, check the box. We provide an offer at your point of sale when you're booking your hotel or your ski tickets. It says if this weather event happens, we'll reimburse you in full.
Okay, so they don't necessarily, a user doesn't need to necessarily go to a site provided by you, but this would be an option that would be provided to them when they check out?
That's correct. We think it's very important to make offers in context. When people are thinking about what they're going to do, what might impact it, that is the point in which we say, hey, this is a weather guarantee. We can really smooth your booking, smooth your experience, and make your day better if the weather doesn't cooperate.
We talk about volatility in the stock market, but we've seen a lot of volatility in the weather market as well. How has that impacted rates that your company charges?
Yeah, so ultimately we adjust for it. At our core, we're a data company. We run all the numbers. We understand what the likely outcomes are, how things like climate change can impact probabilities, what the weather forecast indicates about probabilities, and we adjust for it in our rates. So at the end of the day, our job is to understand odds and make predictions. And then when the predictions aren't right, we reimburse customers.
And what are the predictions and odds telling you right now about weather volatility?
So what we see generally is that weather is increasingly volatile. When you look at any one location, it may be hard to tell, but when you look everywhere at once, it's clear as day. We see this from heat waves through to storms, wind events. And so just in general, we see things are getting hotter and more extreme, and we want to be there to protect customers and their wallets.
And can you meet a customer at any checkout point that they're at right now?
So we require the integrations with the e-commerce providers in order to provide offers to consumers, but outside of those integrations, yes. Essentially anything that is impacted by the weather is fair game for weather guarantees, and we're here for our consumers.
What are some of the largest integrations that you have right now?
So I'm actually just getting back from France and Switzerland, where I was skiing with our partners Crans-Montana and Valseny, protecting skiers there. En route, coming into this summer, we're increasing our partnership with the PGA of America, protecting golfers in their tee times, campground partnerships, Reserve America, Camp Spot, Hospitality, Curator Hotels, Noble House Resorts, so on and so forth.
Are you finding that there is demand for this, that people are realizing just how much the weather and climate is changing and that they are willing to pay for this?
So we found out of the gate that consumers intuitively understood what we were offering and how it's differentiated from travel insurance and why they might want it. Our attach rates, take rates, point of sale are very high, and consumers are very happy with the product. We issue our reimbursements proactively, so we try, there's no claims process. We try and push money into people's pockets in the moment when they're upset about what their day is doing so that they can adjust their mindset or do something else.
How does that process work?
So at the point of sale, when the consumer is buying something, we underwrite a product which they can opt into. As a byproduct of that, we know where somebody's going to be and when. We are then monitoring the weather in real time for that person. So we say during the day, if it's going to be rainy or too hot or too cold, we send a text message. So it's as simple as that. Hey, this day is not going to be what you expected. Click here, get a reimbursement for your day.
What's the data that you're monitoring as a former trader who's looked at a lot of data, right? And odds and bets of that nature and where the market is heading. What are those inputs that inform your decisions?
So we collect historical data going back decades all over the world, real-time observations from satellite and radar, as well as weather forecasts. So we have the entire continuum from back in time, now, as well as looking forward. And we analyze it all very quickly to understand odds.
Is there any going back? I mean, we hear so many efforts from billionaires like Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos. One of their key focuses now later in life is trying to improve the climate, but it is increasingly volatile.
Yeah, so going back, I think it's a good question. The jury's still out. My particular opinion is what happens if we can't, and we need to live in a world that we've made for ourselves. Let's build resilience. It's not the end of the world. It's just not the world that we grew up with.
And so to that end, how do you see your business growing over time?
So we think, my personal, point of view on this is if people stop traveling and people stop, being excited about going outside and seeing new places, what's the point? So we want to build a product that really encourages people to get out there and to keep going and to enjoy the world, whether it's like it was before or the future that we're headed into. There's still going to be a lot of fun to be had and a lot of things to experience.
Exclusively for travel?
For the moment, we're focused on travel and hospitality, which is, generally speaking, travelers, event goers, so on and so forth.
Yeah. What would be a next natural market for you?
So within the weather space, the rich markets historically have been agriculture and energy. I think transportation as well as construction, built environment are huge opportunities for somebody. That said, hospitality is one of the biggest marketplaces in the world. There is a lot to sink our teeth into the hospitality, and moreover, it's something that I'm personally passionate about.
Here's a question. So it's interesting, right? Because even amid the volatility that we've seen in the wake of COVID, right? And this widening disparity, as my guests have said, between Wall Street and Main Street, right? People needing to get by with basic essentials versus those who are able to travel around the world and take advantage of higher prices, who have benefited greatly from timing the market, and time, among other things. We have heard that a recession might be on the horizon, maybe once we get through the election. Do you see that as a possibility, and what would that mean for your industry?
So I think anything's possible. Personally, I won't speculate, but I hope we're moving in a positive direction. But for our industry, we cover everything from people going camping, tent pitched in the dirt, all the way up to $1,000 a night hotel rooms. To us, this is all an outdoor experience. It doesn't matter how much money you have. Weather can ruin that just the same, and we want to be there to protect consumers and help them have a good time.
So even if we see a recession, you think that your clientele would still be willing to travel and pay?
So long as people are still traveling, which I believe they always will be, that they might take a different form, we'll be there for them.
All right. So people can find it, of course, when they check out on certain providers. We appreciate the time. Nick Kavanagh, he's the CEO of Sensible Weather.